They had an incredible man in the name of Cy Simonson doing special effects.
Well, he called me Cy. Nobody knows Thole.
And I never knew his name was Thal until I saw it on the credits. Cy was the best special effects man in the business.
Cy Simonson brought trust to all the players because they knew they could rely on his special effects to go right.
There was always bombs going off, gunshots, guys pointing a gun at you.
Look, your orders have just been changed, kid.
The interesting thing about an actor and a special effects supervisor is that you have to have a lot of trust. It's really, really based on an understanding of where everything will fly, which direction debris will go. All of that's really, really important.
Cy was so wonderful. You could always know that you were safe no matter how close the fire was going or the bombs were going to go off.
George Reeves learned early on it's not a good idea to be suspended on wires. Wires can break.
The wire broke during the first season, and George fell to the floor. He said he's not going to do that anymore.
Cy, or Thole Simonson, was brought in as a special effects technician. And they trusted Cy implicitly because everything he did came off without a hitch.
I went home and I figured out all these different things, and we came up with a rather reasonable approach to it.
Cy developed this pan. It was a steel pan, and that gave George the ability to fly. And George would hold out his arms as Superman, hold out his legs, and could fly, move to the side, dip down, do everything.
The invention of the pan, as they call it, that Cy Simonson came up was ingenious because it allowed George to be filmed from a long distance, and it appears as if he were flying and banking and rolling back and forth. And it was merely a pan underneath his costume that went to a large pole between his legs, which could be manipulated by 2 or 3 men on the other side.
George was happy with it because it was substantial. When he had to get up and you had to tie him in, but it wasn't something that looked or felt like it was something that he could get out of, yet he knew he wouldn't get out of if it turned. So he was happy with it.
I heard that he just got exhausted up there. I mean, try, sit on a chair, as we all did as kids, and have your arms and legs stretched out for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's exhausting, it's painful. I'm not sure how much you could do after that.
There were 4 general flying sequences, but if you look very closely in the seasons, you will see some variations where Superman is flying in from different angles. In Dagger Island, he actually flies around the Metropolis cityscape, and you see him from head to toe, which is very unusual for the color shows.
Another thing that was awful hard to control was his cape. You knew his cape should be flapping, but in order to get it to flap, you had to have wind. And in order to get the wind just right, sometimes it didn't fit how he's going to turn. And that turned out to be one of the bigger problems.
I think George takeoffs and landings are better than anything that have since been in any of the Superman films in which he takes off with wires and comes in with wires. George, being athletic, developed a way of having a diving board in the floor,
which would allow George to hit basically 2 pieces of wood with a spring in the middle, and he would approach it, land on it, and then leap over the camera and do a tumble.
And he would go through the window chest height, and he'd be going up as he went through the window, fall on the foam pads we had.
Coming in a window, he would stand outside out of camera range on a ladder, and then he would hang onto the bar and then swing in.